We are back, the latest and greatest in innovation, technology, leaders and experts sharing their passion and knowledge to optimize your health, wellness, business, and life. Tune in, stay tuned. We have Steve and Dominika Laureto jetting in from Chicago, owners of Supreme Wellness, Aesthetics, and Recovery. Welcome back. We are here. We are back with Steve and Dominika Laureto, founders of Supreme Wellness, Aesthetics, and Recovery. Steve and Dominika, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited. Long time coming, but thank you for coming in and visiting with us.
Long overdue, but we're excited to be here.
And then just prior to the show, Steve was showing me his protocols when you have downtime. So we're going to go into some little biohacking tricks that you can carry.
We're always trying to stay active, right? So we just flew in from Chicago to New Jersey, and you always got to be ready to go. And so, listen, we talk about longevity, right? We talk about what are keys to longevity. To me, it's grip strength is one of them, right? We do a lot of grip strength testing at our facility. I know Dominika's rolling her eyes at me right now because here I am taking over the podcast, but we talk about grip strength. We talk about not just doing concentric, but eccentric with our grip strength as well. You could do this on flights. You could do this in the Uber ride here. You could do this even while we're doing a podcast, right? Now, we can't do this one during the podcast. This would be a little bit weird, but we talk about Boss Root. And I really love this O2 trainer because I do a lot of breath work at Supreme with our clients in our salt room. We also do sometimes breath work first thing in the morning before we do cold plunge, or we do red light with PEMF, or even before we do live O2, which is high altitude. But I love this O2 trainer for breath work as well because we just always can't be doing nasal. And I find that this is very, very powerful from really working the stomach muscles underneath the ribs and really expanding into the back area. I find this incredible for my endurance as well. You do it
before the show. You did.
Well, here we go. So I have it on level number 2.
And we all know that the breathing, the impact breathing.
So when I'm breathing in, I'm expanding out. When I exhale, I expand in. And so I really find that this works muscles that I've never worked before. And I tell you, Boss is onto something here. This is an incredible thing, incredible tool. You can take it anywhere, get a quick
O2 trainer.
O2 trainer. 30 reps in less than 3 minutes. Boss, great move.
So Dominika, so that's Steve's biohacks. Just carries this bag around with him wherever he goes. So Dominika, how do you feel when in the airport you got the slingshot? When you got this, he's got the slingshot when he's walking around the airport. The slingshot.
Listen, I'm used to it. He takes it everywhere. This backpack is attached to him at all times. He takes it to Poland, so I've seen it. I've seen it all. So yeah,
he's biohacking right now with the grip strength. Dominika, you have an amazing story. So I've known you both quite a while now. So let's go into a little bit of the background and then, evolving into what now is Supreme, which is growing exponentially. You're opening up another facility, I believe, right? This fairly soon. So first, your journey, overview of your journey.
Well, I was born and raised in Poland. I came into United States when I was 22 years old. It was in 2005. Without any money and ability to speak English. I actually came to New York first, and I only spent 2 days in New York. I don't know, for some reason didn't like it. So I went to Chicago, which and now too had a lot of Polish people. And I took a bus from New York to Chicago. I spent $170 on a ticket, and I was telling Steve how I was sitting on the 16 hours drive to Chicago thinking, how am I going to make it if I only had $500? I really spent $170 on a ticket to Chicago. So yeah, that's my story. I lived in a basement in some Polish people house for some time. Then I was working as a cleaning service lady, as a waitress, so different jobs just to support myself, pay bills. Then I saved some money, I put myself through nursing school, and that's
Extremely knowledgeable. You did an amazing podcast with a mutual friend of ours, Sam Tejada.
Thank you.
A healthy point of view. That was incredible. Your knowledge is phenomenal. And then, of course, leading into Supreme. But I just want to touch on one thing. When you were very young, you were paralyzed.
Yes.
And for what period of time?
It was over a year. I was 8 years old. I was walking to school, and all of a sudden I just lost ability. I fell down. I couldn't walk. So I was paralyzed waist down, and they couldn't really find the reason why. One of the doctors that was back then very much into regenerative medicine said it was a side effect to vaccines that I was given as a child. And then he told my parents that he is giving me 2 years. If within 2 years I will be walking, then I will fully recover. If 2 years and I'm not walking, then there's really no chance for recovery. So it was very devastating for my parents. My dad.
How old were you?
I was 8.
8 years old?
So maybe 7, because I remember I didn't have a first communion yet, and everything I was thinking of that I want to walk to my first communion in a white dress, and that was the mindset. I just wanted to walk in a church in a white dress.
So was it sudden? You were just walking, or was it gradual?
No, it was gradual. So my parents were taking me from one doctor to another. I spent about 6 months in different hospitals. They were doing different therapies. Nothing was working. Then my grandma was a huge believer in holistic medicine. So she was taking me to physicians, providers. They were healing with like Chinese medicine, acupuncture, something that we call like ARP wave, like electromuscle stimulation, different herbs. I was drinking weird things. They were putting like
this is
different
through the
oils.
process.
Yes. And then slowly, I gradually, first I was crawling, but I had enough muscle strength to crawl, and then I gradually start walking.
It's sort of like mixing that whole protocol thing, which we'll talk about later, like Steve has the stack with Steve. All of a sudden, you're biohacking.
Yes. But I fully recovered. I do still have some side effects when it comes to, let's say, performance. I could never play any sports, but I can fully function. So yeah, I'm blessed, and thank God that we had regenerative medicine back then. And
amazing.
Thank God my grandma was believing in it, 30 years ago. So
what an inspiration. And I mentioned briefly, it has to be a book. So we have to get that. We have to get that.
And that's actually, I think, starting this year. I think she's starting
yes.
Yeah, no, an incredible journey, especially to those, struggling, going through adversity, challenges, which we all go through. Some more so, a lot more so than others. Right. And then you at a young age, 7 years old, having to deal with that mentally and emotionally, not only physically, of course, overcoming that adversity, coming here with only $500, and then building this amazing business of Supreme. So how did that come about, Steve? The Supreme Wellness, Aesthetics, and Recovery.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. It's really my wife here that built Supreme Wellness and Aesthetics. It was really her vision. And I was able to play the hobby. My passion's always been in health and fitness, and I've always, probably in the last 10 to 12 years, I've started biohacking, had a hyperbaric soft chamber behind my couch, had an infrared sauna in my place. I had an actual Home Depot freezer.
Within your home? Within
my condo, yeah, in the city. And so I was always biohacking, had the ARP wave for many, many years, since actually like 2005, which is electrical muscle stimulation. I'm gym rat, a junkie for fitness, but Supreme was already started from a MedSpa standpoint with her. And when I met her, she was now going to expand it to more wellness, and she wanted wellness to be first.
So Dominika, you had Supreme?
Yes.
At the time. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so it was just Supreme MedSpa, and she wanted to then really pivot more into wellness. And she said she had a lot of passion for wellness, had a lot of knowledge.
When was that?
This is going back in 2020.
2020.
Mm-hmm.
So almost 21.
Okay.
And so in 21, we decided, let's do it. Let's expand it into wellness. And she wanted it to And again, now she did very well with the med spa on the aesthetic side. And she took all her earnings.
All the modalities incorporated back then, the hyperbaric chambers.
No, not yet.
No,
Just
21 is when we started. So when she was just doing it, she was doing more Botox aesthetic stuff.
Gotcha. Okay.
She did very well with that, took all that money and decided, let's go all in on wellness, all in. And when, you're buying medical grade hyperbaric chambers, you're buying saunas, you're buying
That's a big
cold
one.
plunges,
Yeah.
you're buying the HOCATT machine for ozone, and you're buying M-Sculpt, you're buying a lot of expensive machines. She could have said, listen, I'm doing well with my med spa. I'll keep growing the med spa. But she said, no, it starts
all
with
in, all or none.
starts with wellness
Dominik,
first.
all or none.
And she went all in. And it's pretty amazing that that's the direction we went. And for me, was that something I wanted? Yeah, medical grade chambers, sauna, cold plunges, all those things, yes. Now, can you put it together? Now, can you educate people on what this is really doing for them? Can you get them through the doors? Like, why am I coming through the doors to sit in some tank?
Right. So that's why I want this whole conversation to evolve. I basically want to explain to everyone, it's basically like MedSpa 101. People walk in because they hear MedSpa, but how many people are still really don't have that knowledge of what exactly goes on there? They hear hyperbaric chambers, they hear cryotherapy, cold plunge, the Braintap, what are all these different things? So we'll start with a few modalities with you, Dominika, then we'll go over to Steve. But let's talk about, you have the red light therapy, you have the hyperbaric chambers, you have the cryotherapy. So the main modalities of what you offer, and then just define what it is and the benefits of value of each.
Sure. So let me go back to the term med spa. So technically, like a traditional med spa are mainly aesthetic treatments, such as Botox, fillers, PRP, maybe PRF, some lasers. So that would be considered a med spa. So that's what I was doing before. I partner up with the doctor who was interested in the same industry. He didn't want to operate by himself. So that's how this whole med spa business started. And then quickly evolved to the wellness world, probably a little bit because of COVID. I think people became more health conscious and they were seeking for treatments that were more just to regain health or prevent illnesses.
I think for the first time, people started asking questions.
Right. IV infusions. Do you guys do vitamin injections? So that's how it started. And then
at that time, you were not doing those things.
Yeah. So we were just doing Botox, fillers, just a typical med spa, a little bit of different philosophy still. So I don't necessarily like the traditional med spa blueprint. So I had my own thing going on. But then when we pivot to wellness, that's just a next level, totally different world. So yes, we start when we open our second location, we incorporated red light therapy, hyperbaric chamber, PEMF, HOCATT, which is full body detox, full variety of IV nutrition with NAD, vitamin shots, cold plunge, sauna, salt room, ARP wave, EWAT, live O2. Am I missing something? I think
so. Can you give like a sentence or two description of like when you say hyperbaric chamber? Many people are just like that are not in the know. What is that? So it's this big piece of equipment.
The beauty part about hyperbaric chamber, especially with OxyHealth, who we work with, and we have only their chambers because they have you get a lot of with OxyHealth medical grade chambers, the Fortivis 420, we have a lot of flexibility with that. So we can go from 1.3 ATA all the way to 3.0 ATA. If we go past 2.0 ATA, we need a doctor's note on why we're going past that. But usually the sweet spot's anywhere from 1.3 to 2.0 ATA. And, what's beautiful about OxyHealth, they did all the protocols.
Explain what that is, Steve.
So chamber is basically breathing oxygen in the pressurized chamber. So that's the simple concept of it. And the reason we do that, because oxygen, when it's delivered to the tissue, has a power of healing. So it can technically heal anything. So that's why chamber is great for any sort of chronic disorders, neurological issues, general wellness, stem cell stimulation. Hyperbaric chamber can improve symptoms of anxiety, depression, PTSD. It can help to heal injury because it's going to decrease inflammation. So it's great for young athletes. That's why we have a lot of athletes that have hyperbaric chamber at
Well,
home.
even we get athletes, young athletes, they'll get a concussion, and we recommend anywhere from 10 to 15 straight days in the chamber to heal that
10,
concussion.
15, oh, that was my next question. So how often do people typically, the average?
It depends
on
the protocol.
the need.
So
Yeah.
someone with cancer is going to do probably 60 sessions plus.
Is that daily? Is that a day, a session a day?
Yes. Then you take a break, then you just come back for more sessions. We have, a stroke, the same thing. It's a chronic condition. It will require more sessions and different pressure probably than someone that goes in.
Actually, if it's a
with
recent
cancer.
stroke, you should be in the chamber every 6 hours so you get to 30 hours. On a
Honestly,
recent stroke.
this is hyperbaric chamber is probably the most powerful modality out there when it comes to like true healing.
I would
And
agree.
honestly, there are so many studies coming out, but even like speaking anecdotally, like seeing how patients improved, I've never seen anything like that. And trust me, when I met him and I went to his house and I saw hyperbaric chamber behind
You were
the
unaware
couch,
of it at that time.
yeah, I was
No,
like,
she was aware
I was
of it, but
I was aware of it, but I'm like, this guy is crazy. That stuff does not work. And what is he do? And who am I dating here?
I had a soft chamber behind the couch.
And then
But then my wife figured it out.
yes. Well,
She's
yeah.
very, very smart, and she figured it out. And now she knows the whole science out of it. Because when you think about hyperbaric,
I absolutely, and I'm from Poland, from very, very small town. In my town, there are probably 4 chambers. There are no restaurants, but there are doctor offices with hyperbaric chambers. So it's very powerful. It truly can improve symptoms of chronic conditions. We've seen people with stroke who regain so much more strength, mobility, verbal ability.
over a 60-day or 60 session span?
Oh, well,
Or
they come in. So let's say people who were going to regular rehab and saw 0 improvement. They're coming to us. They're coming for over a year. They're replacing that rehab with hyperbaric chamber because they're getting better results from it. So you can't make this up. We have it on video. People who were on wheelchair couldn't walk. Now
I've seen the videos. It's incredible.
So it just, the results speak for themselves. I don't have to sell chamber. I can show someone, look, this is what it did to that person. It's just
and everybody's a
absolutely
candidate
amazing.
for hyperbaric. It just depends on what you're treating.
Right.
Steve, you referenced ATA earlier.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, explain to people
So
what that is.
1.3 is, so we're going to go below sea level.
What is it?
So basically anything that goes 1.1 ATA, now we're starting to go below sea level.
Gotcha.
And so
And then
The
you need a doctor. You need to consult with a doctor at some point.
Below 2.0, just to watch for oxygen toxicity. So we just want to stay in our safety zone. So yes, if we have someone who requires pressure below 2.0, we're just having our doctor watch them.
but our medical doctor
Yeah.
is very hands-on.
And
with it.
Dr.
Dr. Zirk.
Zirk. Dr.
Yeah.
Zirk.
Dr. Zirk's very hands-on. And not to mention, we work with Dr. Borson with
Extremely
Oxyhealth.
knowledgeable.
Very
Very
medical
knowledgeable,
doctor. And so, very knowledgeable.
Hyperbaric chamber improves mitochondrial function.
Big topic these days.
Big topic,
Yeah.
yeah. And the same with the brain. It just reduces inflammation in the brain. Mental health is big topic too. And I personally, I don't have any injuries, but I feel better when I do it, mentally better. It gives me a mental power.
How often do you do?
I do it once a week. I
Once
don't
a
do
week.
it often.
Right.
I do it once a week. I feel
Like
great.
a maintenance sort of.
Yes,
thing.
I actually combine red light therapy. So I do red light therapy and I do hyperbaric
We're heading
chamber.
into segue into Stack with Steve.
Yeah.
So you do the red light therapy and the hyperbaric chamber.
Yes, and I love, so that combo, that's probably
How long each session?
hour in a chamber.
in a
Red
chamber.
light, I do like 20 to 30 minutes. I just love both. They both improve mitochondrial functioning.
So hyperbaric is your number one, you think?
Hyperbaric, I would say
and red
number
light.
one.
Number
Yes, yeah. But red light is like just my.
So let's
That's
work into the red light therapy now. What is it and what does it do?
So red light therapy, it's basically it's using red light and near infrared to penetrate the tissue to repair the tissue on a cellular level. And then main benefits with red light therapy is obviously supporting the mitochondrial function. So red light therapy will allow mitochondria to produce more energy. So that's like the main concept. Actually, red light therapy targets certain enzymes that absorb red light to produce more and more ATPs. The other thing is it supports immune system because it reduces reactive oxygen species. So it reduces oxidative stress in the body. So that's number 2. Number 3, I love it because it supports collagen production. So it stimulates fibroblasts. We get more elastin and collagen, so our skin looks more youthful.
So this is a bed, the red light therapy
Yes.
bed. It's like just like a sun bed.
Yes.
Typical.
Yes. So they have different ones on the market that you have.
You stand, I think. You
Right.
stand
Panels. You have beds. Number 3, it relieves pain and chronic pain. So anytime I feel sore, like I have muscle soreness from workout, that's a great therapy to just relieve the muscle soreness. And then also mental health. It supports serotonin production. So and also it's neuroprotective. So study shows that red light therapy has some neuroprotective benefits as well.
I think the mental health is such always has been a big
Yes.
topic because physical health and mental health. And then going back to 2020, when you started the Supreme Wellness, Aesthetics and Recovery, opening this up, at that time, of course, COVID was coming around, if it was not around already prior to that. But mental health, I think many people already have mental health issues, but now with the COVID happening, have you seen a spike during that time?
Highest rates of depressions, yes, during COVID. And I feel that now people are more open.
Recovering from it, I think. People are still recovering.
Right. Brain fog, or, what people just call as like long COVID.
Long COVID, right.
And you really can't measure for brain fog.
But I feel like finally more and more people are more open about it. They're talking about it. They feel like it's important. Listen, if mentally you cannot function, you physically won't function either.
Right.
Mind, brain first. Like body will always follow the brain. That's my philosophy. So if you mentally cannot function, your body is lost.
Key word you said earlier too with the hyperbaric chamber is the inflammation, because obviously inflammation has an impact, that gut-brain connection.
Right.
The inflammation also affecting, moods, the way you think and you feel, especially younger people.
Right. I think inflammation is the root cause of all diseases. And unfortunately, now, like I want to say 96% of Americans have some sort of metabolic dysfunction. We are all inflamed. Brain is a part of our body. So if your body is inflamed, your brain is going to be inflamed too. Then inflammation can show or present itself in different symptoms such as depression, Alzheimer, dementia, maybe even Parkinson's now saying. So taking care of your brain health, mental health is huge.
I think people also get caught up thinking that this is just the way I should feel. Like the low energy,
because
not
you
feeling
feel
good,
like that
depression, anxiety, stress. They just take it and they don't yet understand how these protocols, modalities can enhance their moods, their depression.
Listen,
it can help
if you're inflamed and you feel low energy for 10 years, that's your norm. You don't know any better. So you just think this is normal. Oh, I'm aging. Oh, I'm 35 or I'm 40. This is the part of life. When you start doing, modalities like sauna or chamber or cold plunge, and then you start feeling better, then you're like, oh my God, well, this is how I should be feeling.
Right. And then people will be amazed. I mean, we're not even talking, exercise, of course, to me is always number one.
Yeah.
I still think resistance training is the number one medication.
Yeah, and they just don't, they don't take that initiative. And it's always, the number one, I think, is, I'm too busy. But I always say, if you can't work out for 15, do 5, because everything's a habit, right?
Right.
You change those habits, you change your life. And it's simple changes.
We also see with the hyperbaric chamber, a 1-3 ATA clinical study shows after 10 sessions, your stem cell increases 3-folds in your body through the bone marrow. So we do see a lot of our clients, when they get to double digits, they'll come to us and go, oh my God. I remember Jackie came to us and said, oh my God, she was at around 12 sessions. I could totally see this helping, kids in high school, teenagers from a mental standpoint, mental health standpoint, because, she dealt with a lot of anxiety with work and different things. And she felt like this gave her a lot more clarity and less
reduces anxiety.
And so I do believe, like, even at a low pressure, that's the lowest, 1.3 ATA, after 10 sessions, 3-folds of an increase in your stem cell production. That's incredible.
Amazing.
So the stem cell production is for real happening in the hyperbaric chamber. And that's not a lot of sessions either. That's just...
No, I think now, especially with the social media, I think that lack of social interaction is affecting the way the younger people are thinking and the way they
100%,
feel.
yeah.
And that's why, like you said, Dominika, taking care of your brain health,
right?
And that applies to the younger people as well.
Also diet too. I mean, younger people don't understand the importance of eating healthy diet, and unfortunately, United States is not the easiest country to grab something healthy. I mean, we were just at the airport struggling to grab something.
Hopefully we'll see some changes soon.
Oh yes, definitely. But younger people, when they go to high school, or like they grab snacks, everything is processed. It causes massive inflammation. Your body is not designed to metabolize stuff that is not considered food. So
think about the snacks they give you on the plane. It's all that seed oil.
Yeah.
So then when people get off that plane, if they eat it, they're getting inflammation, right? And so.
But I think it also is awareness. That's the purpose of our show, is bringing people like you on to open up, especially parents when they're shopping. They just look at, even packaging, for example. They see the color green, they just think, oh, that must be good, without actually reading what are the ingredients in this product that I'm buying. Because that's where it is. I mean, you could see 0 sugar, you can see 0 fat when you look at what's in here.
Yeah, I 100%.
Poisoning the body and mind.
Yeah.
Let's transition over into, so you have pulse, PEMF. That's basically a bed, pulse electromagnetic fields. And what does that do? I know you have that there as well.
So we have a blanket, basically. So you just put it on a bed, and how we do it, we combine it with red light therapy. What it does
is actually a good stack, Rob.
Yeah.
Yes. What it does, it basically just kind of mimic the natural grounding. So when we get up in the morning, we should be going outside barefoot and walking the grass, to just find like the inner peace, to balance the energy. So that's what the PEMF is doing. Also, it does support mitochondria, so works synergistically with red light therapy. It's gonna produce more energy. It's very good for pain. Same with the red light. That's why another synergistic.
So you could stack all three: hyperbaric chamber, the red light, and the pulse electromagnetic therapy.
Improves blood flow.
It improves blood flow quite a bit.
How long of a session typically is that?
We just do it like 20 to 30 minutes a session. Like if someone is like, let's say, I would say severe pain, then maybe a little bit longer. Just the general wellness, 20 minutes is plenty.
20 minutes.
You do feel like quite energized.
You know how you how some people take Advil for a headache or Tylenol?
Right.
Get on this, your headache's gone.
It does improve headaches too. When you do red light with PEMF, yeah.
And again, it's coming down to raising the awareness on what's out there, other than, medications and prescriptions and everything else.
Right. There are many modalities out there. I think that people have to be open-minded. We do still, I believe, live in a like a little sick system. We just focusing on disease management, not on prevention, and that's
disease management, right?
Right. So no one, like if I'm not diagnosed
true healthcare
with,
is self-care.
right, if I'm not diagnosed with any disease, well, that means I'm healthy. Not necessarily.
Right.
Because you need to be optimal. So health is not just absence of disease, right? Because if you're not optimal, I'm not diagnosed with anything, but if I'm running on low energy, if I'm constantly fatigued, I have a brain fog, that's not healthy. So that's why I think that when people start be open-minded, there is plenty modalities out there that they can improve your health, well-being without trying any medication.
I mean, the biggest one we see, honestly, with some people is they're just dehydrated.
Dehydration.
That's too.
They're a little dehydrated.
Yeah,
and they get headaches. They constantly are fatigued. They don't know why. They want to take all these different all this different medication. They're looking.
Just
looking,
think a
looking,
simple thing like water.
and it simply comes down to some water and some electrolytes and
Right.
less
Hydration.
and less caffeine. You know, everybody wakes up in the
Yeah,
morning.
like caffeine is a sponge. Just
Right
suck it
away,
in.
first thing in the morning, people are hitting the caffeine instead of getting hydrated.
Big one glass of water.
Yeah.
Big one glass of
Yeah.
water. Yeah. So on the mental health topic, but which I love this next product because I know Steve, we've talked about this. I know you both use it. And a very good friend of ours also, Dr. Patrick Porter,
Yep.
founded the Braintap.
Braintap,
And so that's
yes.
part of my protocol in the morning and my biohack. So let's talk about the Braintap and, you know, basically a headset, but I love it.
Well, the reason why I love Braintap, I mean, I think, and she talks about this a lot, is first thing in the morning, either getting quiet time or some kind of meditation or some kind of breath work. And this is just basically guides you through all that. You could do any different type of breath work with the Braintap. You could do any different type of meditation, any kind of quiet
During,
time.
right.
And then on top of it, you could stack it too with red light PEMF. and
Right,
stuff.
No,
right.
I love it.
Which
I love
has
Braintap.
really a powerful effect if you stack it like that. I think I love it because it truly has so many different types of meditation that everyone can choose
It's
something
endless.
for. Right.
It's endless.
And it's in different languages, which I didn't know. I just found that out. So they have Polish language, other languages
Yeah.
too. So like if someone first language is not English, you can actually put a different language that kind of just resonate with you better. And what I also didn't know is I have a hard time with meditation. I'm zoning out. My brain just like fires all the time. So Dr. Patrick told me that even if you don't listen, it goes to your subconscious mind. So you still get the effect.
95%.
That's
Is that
insane.
crazy? 95% comes from your subconscious. And 5% is your
Yeah.
conscious.
Yeah.
So-
And speaking of stacking, we even stack it inside the chamber.
Oh,
If you go
that's awesome.
If you go 175 or lower
So inside the hyperbaric with the Braintap.
with the Braintap,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of athletes do it.
Yeah, that I find like the first thing in the morning. I love it no matter what happens. You know, my first few bits of protocol, cold shower, which I dread. I hate it, but it's 3
I hate
minutes,
cold
and
showers.
I just have to adore it because mentally, what are you doing? You're doing something you don't want to do. So you're starting your day off doing that one thing that you just do not want to do. I remember looking forward to getting the nice warm shower. Now I just sit there and cringe for 30 seconds before I step in. But right after that, I go into my mindfulness meditation, manifestation, visualization with the Braintap. And no matter what, that's what happens first because that's putting me in that relaxed state.
Right.
Because as you were saying, Dominique, my mind, I'm already starting the day off, like thinking, okay, I got to slow it down and then I got to focus. I got to get rid of anything that's cluttering and then dial back. And dialing back into your breath work, back to what you're saying,
100%.
breath work is huge, you know, paying attention to your breath, being present. So the Braintap's awesome. So let's move on. There's numerous other things that you have there, but what are your other two more top modalities
Well,
that you?
HOCATT.
Oh, that's
HOCATT is
yeah.
huge.
HOCATT is huge. Amazing benefits. I'm wondering, I'm wondering why am I not seeing it more? It should be in
Looks similar to the
every-
hyperbaric chamber, right?
It's
a little
like
bit.
a capsule, but your head is sticking
The
out.
head's sticking out.
Right.
It's the only
like an
steam
egg.
I'll do is with the HOCATT. I won't go in a steam room. I'll go in a dry sauna, but not a steam room. And that's the only steam I'll do is hot steam ozone. And
Right.
I feel that's a great way. Ozone's an incredible.
And that's HOCOTT, correct?
HOCATT.
ATT.
Yeah, some people call it the HOCATT or HOCATT. I call it the HOCATT. Yeah.
Powerful full body detox because of that transdermal ozone delivery.
Yep.
So everyone should do that. I feel like at least twice a year for like general wellness. But people with any exposure to toxins, mold, heavy metals, it's phenomenal. It cleanses your body
That's
nothing else.
That's a big point you just brought up because right now, just speaking to Dr. Goldman, first we have the chemtrails that we all hear about, but then we now have this toxic fog, which is hitting different cities.
Yeah.
But beyond that, even what you're taking in and consuming on a
100%,
daily
We've
basis.
seen a lot. We've seen a lot of Lyme disease.
Yes.
A lot of Lyme disease. And ozone is very, very,
Very good.
beneficial for Lyme disease. Even shingles.
Any autoimmune
Shingles
disease,
as well.
I would say and chamber too for that.
Yeah.
So
So you're going into the hyperbaric for shingles?
Yes.
And then what's the recovery rate? Shingles lasts, how long does that typically last? With
I would
no,
say
It depends. We had a lady that had it really bad. We actually documented it on our social media.
very
And
young, and she had it on her face, which is not common. So she came in to do chamber, and she did 2 sessions, and it was closed up, just almost gone. Like
Really?
amazing.
So a major cause of that is what? Stress, pretty much?
That's what
Shingles?
they're saying,
say
that
stress?
that stress will trigger shingles.
And so
yeah.
one session,
She did 2
2
sessions.
sessions.
But one session when she had open sores on her face, one was very close to the eye. So the first session, she went in, she came out, and it was already like drying up and
Wow.
closing. She did another one.
How
It
long was she in the chamber for?
An hour.
Hour.
And
I do think she did a couple ozone treatments too. I
Did
think.
she?
I think she might have.
Maybe.
It's documented actually on our social media.
Yeah, just, we'll do it periodically here, but just your supreme underscore
Wellness.
wellness underscore
aesthetic.
aesthetics. Yeah, make sure you check that out. Yeah, and it's also very informative, your social media. It's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, you go
Thanks,
through, a bunch of different modalities and different things, tips. I look at it every day, and then, of course, I reshare it because that's the information people need to hear.
100%.
Just so the ozone therapy, just explain that one more time, Steve.
So ozone is O3, not O2, right? So it's an unstable molecule, but we can do it transdermal. We can do it through IV. It's a great way, like Dominika said, to bring down inflammation.
Detoxify.
To be honest with you, I think it's incredible for detox. In fact, if I do too much ozone, it's kind of funny with me. I could be in the bathroom for too long. So it's very powerful from a detox standpoint. But the way you do transdermal from the HOCATT standpoint, it's pretty incredible. It's going to detox your body 7 times more than a regular sauna. Think about what I just said.
It's
7 times
also
more. You talk about bringing out heavy toxins, heavy metals out of your body using.
Are you all self-taught? Are you self-taught on this? Is this
No,
just
when we bought
I
the
teach
No,
them.
no, you.
I
that-
teach
so,
them. No joke. This
so
is no
your
joke.
knowledge came from Dominika.
well, my background,
I know you have a strong background in science.
exercise
Exercise,
science,
yeah.
and then I have a master's in psychology.
this was easy
I'm
for you
No dummy here.
You
But-
know that, yeah.
But she is the superstar in the industry, and she is the knowledge. And people don't realize this. #1 out of college in Poland, #1 out of high school in Poland, #1 in nursing school. Very smart lady here. Again, what I said earlier, I live out my hobby. So when I hit the wall and I can't figure it out, I just ask her.
No, it's awesome, and again, I can't wait to June. I'll be there.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, the new place in Oakland.
It's going to be super exciting. Just watching your journey, I'm so grateful, of our friendship and beyond, the
And it's
business and
amazing,
everything.
again, what like I said earlier, Rob is incredible at networking. Dr. Chris Davis said he's the connector in the business.
Yes.
No,
he said
and
that.
it is. I'm blessed, and we all are blessed in this because
Yeah.
we get to do what we love to do,
Absolutely.
and then that there's no greater satisfaction like dating back to when I was even instructing martial arts. Even to this day, that's 1990. To this day, I still get the letters from kids that started and the impact that you have. But the point with you is you're bringing people in. You're not only changing lives, but saving lives. What greater satisfaction when you, like even with the shingles,
Right.
someone walked in and, that to me, I've never had it before, but I know people that had it. That seems like a nightmare.
Yeah.
Just a real nightmare.
And I think seeing people results, that's what motivates
Right.
us. That's what keeps us we want to
Well,
do
we've
more
seen a
and
lot
grow
of stroke
more. Yeah.
patients. One of our first was Otis Wilson. He used to play for Chicago Bears.
Right.
He's on the '85 Bears team that won the Super Bowl.
I saw that video you had on there.
And
yeah.
it's just incredible. It's even documented. Just seeing Otis at around the 3-month mark when it finally hit, where he started getting connection back to that arm that he was paralyzed with.
No, the videos are awesome. The videos that you have out there of the people that they go in and they're not certain. They don't know what the result's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
And
In
we
fact, he
actually,
finally came to us because he's like, "What do I have to lose? I've been everywhere else."
the insurance just literally kicked him out. They said, that's it. It's just no more. Your therapy is over. His doctor told him, you just have to accept who you are now and handle, your challenges, and that's it. So, and that, he's someone, I've never met anyone like him, to be honest, with the mindset of I'm gonna recover.
Well, that's what you really need.
That's what
when
need,
you go
yes.
into something,
No one
regardless. You have to believe in your heart and soul that no matter what it takes, whether it's I'm going to go out and find the very best at what they do, and I'm going to figure it out, but I'm going to be determined to win.
And he was, yeah. And he regained probably I want to say 95% of mobility. And we actually captured the moment that he could swing like full full range of motion. And I think he even was surprised that he did it because the expression on his face, and then he like jumped
his goal was to play golf again. And you always want to be positive, right? You always want to think positive no matter what. And so we said, hey, by the summer you're going to play golf. Now this is in December, right? And part of me is thinking maybe I shouldn't have said that, because the first couple months was rough. By the third month, that swing came together, and we captured that. And that summer, we started playing golf.
And he played golf.
That had to bring you great joy and satisfaction
absolutely.
just to watch that. That's what I'm talking about. Just those things. And then on another note, I know I showed Marvin, our producer, but a shout out to Marvin too, our man behind the cameras there. Guy's awesome. Bravery Studios here. But Steve, I'm watching your videos, and it's just, we talk about anti-aging. And, when Dr. Bob, we both know Dr. Bob. So when Dr. Bob, just a little history on
his record's
the record's incredible.
Yeah.
But so he started this anti-aging business, so to speak, back in 1990. He invited like 300 doctors, I think, to Costa Rica, and 12 showed up because they all thought there's no anti-aging. And of course, anti-aging, you cannot chronologically, change time or your age, but physiologically and biologically you can. And Steve, every time I see one of these videos out there, and you too, Dominic, you're beautiful. I mean, it's just how you take care and maintain yourself. And so when you talk about anti-aging, there's 50, 60-year-olds out there that look better than 30-year-olds, and that also 100%. Are more athletic. So back to my original point, Steve sent a video. One was deadlifting 300 pounds sandball, 300 pounds was it?
Yeah, sandbag, yeah.
Yeah, sandbag. But the other one was doing your little interval there, running up a hill. Yeah. About, what was it, 50 yards you said?
40 yards, 50 yards.
But interval was the backflip.
Yeah.
Into the defensive end stance, into the sprint, into another one up the hill. So, but all right, give me one or two more modalities, then we'll move on, because I want to talk about IV infusion and peptides. I don't know if I have time in this show.
Do you want to talk about the stacks at all?
Stack with Steve. But this is a two-part series. So make sure you tune in to the next episode, because we have a lot to cover. I could literally sit here with them for the full year and talk, because they're so inspirational and so knowledgeable. Let's talk about, two more modalities and then stack with Steve.
Okay, which one you want to cover?
Well, I mean, I'm a big fan of cold hot immersion, so I'm a big fan of cold plunge and really hot dry sauna. Or you could do a hot jacuzzi, because I mean, that's probably the oldest form of recovery, to be honest with you, where you're going cold hot. And it's just taking that bottle of water, flipping it upside down. So we're just creating a ton of blood flow in our body, right? And just great way to recover.
And that's what?
That's cold hot immersion.
Cold hot.
Yeah. So you could do anywhere from 3 minutes in a cold plunge to 20 minutes in a really hot sauna. It gets up to about 190, and then
you do it one round, or
you could do one or two rounds. It just depends on people's time.
What are your benefits out of that?
The benefits out of that, it's incredible for creating a ton of blood flow in your body for recovery. You're going to detox your body, cardiovascular more with that, because you're in a hot, dry sauna. So it's really pumping the heart a little bit more. So almost getting some good exercise in there as well. The cold plunge to me is going to bring down inflammation right away. That natural dopamine, the natural energy as well, is great for the body for the rest of the day. And that mindset too. Like I like to finish on cold in the morning, because I feel that gives me good energy.
I just think that clears your whole brain.
I do.
I
do. And the ability that you did something hard, right?
I think there's studies that show that even the cold plunge, that clinically, the neurotransmitters.
I'm going to be the first to admit, I do believe in the heat shock proteins. I don't know about the cold shock proteins. Yeah. That I'm still kind of questionable about. But I do.
But you believe in going back and forth, or just?
I do believe in going back and forth.
That has a greater result.
Because I think you're just creating a lot more blood flow in the body, and that's what it's all about. It's going to help recovery.
What's your opinion?
And I agree. And to your point, because I didn't want to interrupt, so I was waiting for the moment. So with the cold plunge, yes, study shows that anytime you put your body out of comfort zone, you're gonna actually support your brain to make new neurotransmitters. So that's very important, because the power of the brain, the mindset, the new neurotransmitter, you grow, like your body is actually, or your brain is developing, and you're setting yourself up for the new challenges you're growing, basically.
That's why I do that cold shower every morning. Lights up those fires and wires. As Dr. Joe Dispenza says. So,
Yeah.
Right.
he's great
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Dr. Joe.
he's amazing.
But we have a couple more minutes here. So Steve, by the way, graced the covers of Top Doctor magazine. Congratulations,
Thank you.
Dominika. And then she and Steve have a monthly article that they put in there. And then I think Steve is going to start Stack with Steve. Who came up with that?
You did, Rob.
That's
Rob
right.
Fletcher
I
did.
saw.
Yes.
I saw Steve stacking, and I said, I got Stack with Steve. It's going in. So, Steve, talk about your awesome stack. And I know when we post your stacks, you get a lot of likes and a lot of engagement on it.
So the most powerful stack, and I think by far my favorite stack as well, is when you stack PMF and red light first for about 15, 20 minutes, and then do hyperbaric chamber afterwards for 45 minutes. And why do I like that stack the most? Well, because when I'm on the PMF and red light bed, the PMF is pulling apart my red blood cells, creating more blood flow. The red light's enhancing it more. Obviously, we tap into the mitochondrial cell, mitochondrial function. I can absorb more oxygen by doing red light, and now I go inside the hyperbaric chamber. And so now I'm giving 10x amount of oxygen to my body. Right?
Is that common, you think, still, or are people just still messing around with the stacking? Do you think many people are doing the
I
stacking?
do think people are for sure stacking red light first and then going in the hyperbaric chamber. I do. I don't know if they're adding the PMF under red light, but I highly recommend that.
And then I would assume that you do your own different stacks, and then you see how the result
Yeah,
is.
that's a stack that we came up with. We actually are the first to stack PMF and red light at the same time. Maybe some other people have, so I don't want to say that. But we do that first, and then we go in the hyperbaric. Another stack you could add to that, but it's just a little less time in the hyperbaric chamber, is you would stack 15 minutes of red light PMF, 30 minutes at 1.5 ATA in the chamber, and cold plunge for 3 minutes. But do that one in the morning because that's going to ignite your mitochondrial.
What a great way to start the day.
It's an amazing
Yeah.
way to start the day.
Yeah.
And actually, you could even add Braintap on the red light or in the hyperbaric chamber as well.
I love it.
So that's another great stack.
Steve, Dominika, and I'm looking forward to round 2. We are here in Bravery Studios with Steve and Dominika Laureto, Supreme Wellness, Aesthetics, and Recovery in Chicago. Make sure you check them out. Website and Instagram,
Supreme Wellness.
SupremeWellness.co.
CO. Yep, .co.
And then Instagram.
Supreme_wellness_aesthetics.
And then there's also Dominika at
_Supreme Wellness.
Yeah, you definitely want to make sure you check them out. They have a wealth of information. And as I said earlier, Dominika and Steve, they're just giving that information out there. And that's what it's all about. Education, raising awareness to motivate you to be the best you can be. Optimal results right here. Make sure you tune in next week.